Good evening, everyone. Richard Copperthwaite here, your host tonight, a.k.a. Duke Forrest. Thanks for joining us. Happy to have Mr. Dave Handy alongside as usual. And a special guest tonight, Mr. Cam Wood, who has not been with us for, many months.
Yeah, actually, it's been, I think
a few years.
This time last year, I believe.
Really?
So we had a lot of fun and a lot of good topics. And I appreciate you guys inviting me back tonight.
Great to have you back. Thanks to David for recruiting you, but great to have you back, Cam. And Zach, our man out there in charge. I'm glad somebody knows what they're doing around here. A lot more than I can say. Again, our number 528-5315. The Nighthawk is off tonight, but I suspect we'll find a few things to talk about. Boy, of course, the Duke UNC game comes to mind. I was listening to Colin Cowherd today. Know what he had for ticket prices? I assume this is legit info. They had checked StubHub to see if you wanted to go to the Carolina at Duke game coming up in a couple of 9 o'clock start. How about more than the Super Bowl? They had the price on StubHub at like about $3,100.
No way.
They sounded like they were serious.
I can't believe that.
Speaks to Zion. I know it sounds crazy, but they sounded totally serious.
Wow.
And the Super Bowl got down to about like 2,500 or something. Zion sounds like he is really hot. I know that sounds insane.
It does.
Anyway, boy, the line is more than I thought. This is my two schools. Duke, my undergraduate school, always getting
I think they're giving out 9 tonight,
Carolina.
right?
Boy, my friend, I ate lunch with my Duke friend, Roy Talon, a former Franklin County resident. I said, Roy, line 4 or 5? He said, no, 9. Sounds like a high line to me.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'd kind of expect, Duke certainly has the advantage at Duke, and Carolina will have the advantage in Chapel Hill in a couple weeks. But Carolina's been playing some good ball.
Yeah, they both been playing really well. I've actually been following quite a bit. It's funny you say that because I was looking into going to the Syracuse game against Duke at the Carrier Dome.
Oh, wow.
And in the nosebleeds, it was up around 300. So I've got to imagine that rivalry is way more.
Maybe that's not so crazy. Is that right? 300 was like the cheapest seat?
Yep. So we passed on it. Of course, Carrier Dome, up top.
Have you been in there before?
I have not, but I got to imagine it's a bird's eye view up there.
I've been in it.
Have you?
It's
but
big.
Not for a game?
Not for a game. Long time ago, Bud had to go to Syracuse.
Really? In fact, actually, that was one of the schools I could have gone to. They were good enough to let me in, but I didn't go there. But thanks for accepting me. Syracuse, of course, a huge win earlier in the season at Duke.
Overtime, yep.
Anyway, and we've got a call. Go ahead, caller, fire away. You're the first caller on the best damn sports show in Franklin County. Fire away.
Yes, let me get my volume up here a little bit.
Leonard, how are you, my boy?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Hey, Leonard.
Yeah, I got Cam Man over there. All right. I love that. The perfect name for television, the Cam Man.
That is
I think you opened with that line this time last year,
but
and you were the first caller, Leonard.
Before. He's quite a bit younger than I am. I'm twice his age. And
you're almost twice my age.
Golf course. I own him. I actually own this young man.
Yeah,
I own him. David, I don't own. David pulls rabbits out of his hat.
Oh, I've beaten Leonard a lot.
Cam Man,
Leonard, you're not going to bring up men's league right now, are you?
On the golf course.
I'm glad we're not losing you for a few more months.
David, you can't. You can't get your head. That's not where you get beat. So, I still remember that one time. I shoot a 39 and I get beat by him, and he hits 3 fairways.
That's Champlain for you.
He's hit blind 9 irons from other fairways about 4 feet. I didn't have a chance.
No, I played pretty well that night.
That's great. I can't wait till it warms up and we can get back at it.
Oh, it can't come soon enough for me, Leonard.
Yeah, it's been a long winter, man. This thing started in November, and it's still ongoing.
Oh, it's still going strong.
Yeah, sounds like we got some more weather tonight.
Right, and I was actually, Cam, believe it or not, looking at. I was trying to dig up some old hockey pictures, and I dug up the '95.
Yeah.
BFA hockey team. And, your individual picture, you were just had your elbows on the net.
Yeah, that was my casual look.
It was. I saw that today. It was a good shot.
I've always been the one to stray off the path, Leonard.
Anyway, talk a little baseball.
Sure, anything.
Head of the Major League Players Association, denigrates ownership because, they're just dragging their feet on signing these guys. So, and he says that the also-rans, they're not putting enough money forward to be competitive, although there are some people who don't spend much money that compete very well.
Mr. Machado did okay.
Yeah, $300 million for 10 years.
Tampa Bay did well. Oakland did well, just to name a couple. And but anyway, here's a case of the lowly Chicago White Sox offering quite a bit more money, apparently, than the San Diego Padres, and Machado goes to the West Coast, not to the south side of Chicago.
Maybe the weather had something to do with it.
So much for the also-rans trying to spend money and be competitive. So I can't blame Machado for wanting to play in San Diego versus South Chicago.
Yeah.
The weather's very, he was in perfect climate for half his games, obviously. But still, it's just so ludicrous to think that, they're going to let the chickens run the hen house. The owners have a right, darn it, I think, to spend what they want.
Leonard,
they want and when they want.
I think, Leonard, that the players are all wet. And if you look at the guys that are been shut out, Kimbrel, when he started asking for 6 years, $100 million, $80 million.
And he could have pocketed $17 million after the season.
Could have taken $17 million right from the Red Sox, just taking the qualifying offer.
But what did the Red Sox have on the table for him?
They had the qualifying offer.
Yeah, nothing. I don't think anything.
1 year, $17 million.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, but he wants, obviously, I can understand him maybe wanting a little more security, but he's way overstepping his value 6 years at 100. He might get 3 years, maybe 12, 15 a year. Somebody may
say 340 would be, and he didn't help himself the way he pitched the last couple months of the year.
He had a pretty shaky last couple months.
But let's say if Atlanta's in the hunt, apparently, for him, if he's marketable price-wise.
Yeah.
And, I think the Braves might consider signing him for 3 years at maybe 40, somewhere in that ballpark, give or take. And not having to pitch against the American League East all the time would make you better.
Absolutely. I think, Leonard, that the this whole free agent hubbub is all the owners are finally starting to realize that these 8-10-year deals don't work out.
Yeah.
And you're going to see more deals like what the Yankees did with Severino. This week they signed him to a 4-year deal for about $40 million, but it's got a fairly easy qualifier, so it could be like 5 years, $50 million. And they'd rather take these guys that are keep them away from the arbitration and the free agency, because the players now, when they get to be past 30, I think their days of getting big contracts are just about over.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Harper, no news
with
on
the
Harper?
metrics that are out there now, they're going to pay you for what they think you're going to do in the future, not what you did in the past. That's the big difference here now.
Yes.
Leonard,
what you did in the past means nothing.
Leonard, what about
It's
Mr.
what
Harper?
they think you'll do in the future. Now, Machado, he can opt out after 5 years, which in his own mind tells me that he thinks if he really is stupendous for 5 years, he can go back on the market and make even more money.
And what, 31? He's 26?
Sounds like he's a bit, a little grandiose there in his thinking. As you said, once you reach a certain age, you start to go downhill a little bit. So, I'm sure the Padres would have loved the same option after 5 years to opt out if they could, but they don't.
No.
But he does. And so anyway, he must think quite a bit of himself. We'll find out. But as I think the Nighthawk, he made a good point last week that Harper's not, I don't think he's going to get that kind of money because he's an outfielder. Infielders who hit for average and power are worth more than outfielders that do that, because you don't get many infielders that do it. That's a rare commodity, and Harper has nobody to blame but himself. He could have had his $300 million in the bank and stayed home there with the Nats.
Yeah.
He's going to get
I'm curious if
300.
they would offer him that kind of money again. I don't know.
I mean, one of these days, I mean, spring training, we got
Philadelphia.
we have games. Philly still sound like the likeliest.
Philadelphia, somebody's going to give him. I can't believe they get that. Machado got that kind of money.
Well, I can't either.
Yeah, but Harper's not the ball player Machado is. I don't think he really is.
Yeah, but he doesn't have the baggage that Machado has either.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily buy all that either. I think Harper's a head case. I mean, they're not. They're not. Neither of them are on solid ground. I mean, Harper has his own issues.
Hey, look, Machado. The Dodgers didn't even want him back.
Oh, I know.
I mean, he didn't do anything. He didn't even do anything in the World Series.
Stunk.
And you're talking about a guy getting $300 million, and I mean, I don't follow baseball as much as Leonard does, but to me, being a general sports viewer of baseball, what has he done in the postseason to get that type of money?
Yeah.
I do know that the Padres apparently have the best farm system out there.
Oh, yeah.
So I think he's probably somewhat happy with that fit because if you're talking, it's a 10-year contract. Is that what it is for $300 mil? He's probably thinking within the next 4 or 5 years, if he performs, he's on a team that's going to be competitive in the NL, which in my opinion of late is a lot weaker than the AL. But down the road, they could be in a position where they're going to be successful. But, you know, at the end of the day,
they do have a good farm system, San Diego, no question about it. But, you know, prospects are suspects until they prove otherwise.
Correct. And that's exactly
Well,
my
I
point.
listened to the owner yesterday, and
Of the Padres?
Of the Padres. Padres have been around since 1969. They've only been to playoffs 5 years.
Is that right? 5 times?
5 times.
Wow.
Been, I think
2006 was the last year, I believe.
they've been to one World Series.
Just lost their football team.
And he's really trying to change things around. Of course, they gave Hosmer a big contract last year.
Yeah. Did he have a good year?
No, we're nowhere
Right.
near.
What they paid him?
No.
Just a quick note. I know we started out the show talking about ticket prices.
Yeah.
I was actually with my friend last night in New York City, and
Really?
he travels a lot for work, and he goes out to the San Diego area quite a bit.
Yeah.
He told me last night that he would buy tickets, because we were talking about the farm system last night. He buys tickets for $16 at a Padres game
And good
sits
seats?
front row
Wow.
every time.
Wow.
Walks up, watches
Is that
front row
right?
every time.
Pretty nice place to watch a ball game.
Oh, he
too.
said he said this
Brand new stadium.
Yeah, gorgeous, and he said it's
Really?
really cool because the city is
Wow.
built around the ballpark almost.
$16
Yeah. So
Wow.
Speaking of ballparks, excuse me. I just read this the other day, last week. The proposed site, if they're successful in getting a major league club up in Montreal again, what is it? The Peel Basin or something? Anybody read that?
No.
I'm not
read it.
familiar with that.
Yeah, they have a site, and I want to say it's I don't know, the Peel Basin maybe Peel Street.
Hasn't the site isn't it pretty near the Bell Center?
Yeah, I think it's in front of the Bell Center near the river.
Yeah, see, I always thought it was going to be near where the old Autostad was.
No, I think
No, I think I've been hearing a Bell Center area for
I think
years.
it's in front of the Bell Center. You know, when you go in on 720 and you go around
Take that sharp right.
that sharp right.
Yeah.
I think it's right there. It would be in front of all the big downtown buildings.
Right.
I think that's where they're going to put it. But where do you park?
Well, don't hold your breath.
Yeah.
As I tell the Nighthawk all the time, I'd love to see baseball come back. Obviously,
Yep.
I'm not holding my breath.
Oh, I would be. I'd be dumbfounded if it happened in my lifetime.
Yeah.
Now, I heard something the other day that they were talking that baseball wants to go to 32 teams. And if they went to 32 teams, they'd go to 4 divisions of 4 each
Oh, really?
and mix up the leagues
You could get rid of the wild. Maybe
and
get rid
have
of
like
wild
the
card.
Yankees and the Red Sox and the Mets and,
really?
and somebody else in one division.
Really?
And they'd get rid of a lot of the traveling that way.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. But I think if you could take the Montreal and put them in with the Red Sox and the Yankees,
As Nighthawk says, yeah. I mean, imagine.
guaranteed success.
Yeah,
I
mean,
think that's a good point by Dave because I think, especially with expansion teams in all sports these days,
Yeah.
it's to a point where a lot of the established leagues we find teams within a certain division that are irrelevant to the area. And it's gotten away from the original divisions and conferences. And as a result, you've got some mixed matches. So a realignment seems like a lot, but it really is a good idea.
Now, Leonard, I read in the New York Post this week that the Giants originally were considering getting rid of Beckham, but the
Patriots.
But the Patriots showed so much interest, they said, well,
they freaked.
If the Patriots want him, maybe we'll keep him.
I heard
maybe
a guy
we ought
on,
to keep him. That'd have been that'd have been fun to watch. Belichick trying to keep Beckham in line.
I'd like to see that.
That would be really.
It sounds like his type of project, though, to be honest
sure. If
with
anybody
you.
could
That's
do
right
it,
up
it
his
probably
alley.
is Belichick.
Oh, absolutely. I totally agree with you.
And the
Beckham
Patriots
would
have
go
all of
toe to
one
line with
receiver
Belichick.
now. Edelman's the only guy locked up for next year at this point of good receivers.
Hey, I've said it all year long. I said the Giants should trade Beckham to the Patriots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, what are you going to get? You aren't going to get a good pick.
Jay Glazer still says they're going to trade him to somebody.
I bet you they get rid of him. I don't think he's Gettleman's kind of player.
No, I think they should get rid of him. I mean, I don't like him at all. He's just not a, he's too free of spirit for me. I mean, and he hasn't done anything. I mean, he's put up some numbers, but he hasn't really done anything. I mean, big deal. In the clutch, he's dropped some passes, and he can't stay healthy.
No.
Doesn't seem to be. He's pretty brittle.
Well, I got another little tidbit that the guys sent out today, that the quarterback from Seattle, Russell Wilson, his wife wants to move to New York.
Oh, boy.
Oh, really?
So they were saying, well, maybe he could work his way back to the Giants.
Huh.
And the thing is, though,
God,
I don't think
how old is
Gettleman likes
Russell
short
Wilson?
quarterbacks.
How old is Russell Wilson?
Russell Wilson.
How old is he?
He's been around a while.
I would
he's been in
say
the league
he's
10
close
years.
to my age. I'd probably say
About
he's
30?
Yeah, right
30,
around 30.
31.
Yeah, right in that
Sounds
ballpark.
right.
He's about your height, too.
Yeah, he is. He is. I'm a little better looking, but other than that,
Yeah,
But I
30.
mean,
of course, his
33.
wife probably. A lot of my league.
Reading more about this Haskins from Ohio State, I mean, he's the Giants kind of guy when it comes to being a decent person. Apparently,
Yes.
he was brought up the right way, and he went to the right schools, and he's kind of a Saquon Barkley in terms of his personal integrity. I guess you sign Haskins, you don't have to worry about all the extracurricular stuff, outside of football.
Well, it looks like they're all the mock drafts still all have the Giants picking him.
Is that right?
And I'll tell you what, though, I watched some film on that kid from
Duke?
Missouri, I think.
No, Missouri.
And is it Locke or?
Yeah, I've
Locke
heard
or-
of him.
Yeah, whatever, and he can sling it. He can. So they could really, fool around with their draft pick a little bit, and if they're not sold on Haskins, they could. They have a lot of drafts, and as you know, they got a lot of picks. They got 11 picks, I think. I think they have 11 picks this year. I mean, a lot of them like in the 4th and 5th round. They have a ton of picks, and I expect them to do a little maneuvering, here and there to try to move up if they find a player they really like. But they need so much. They really do. They just need so much. And free agency will be interesting to see who they can get their hands on. And
The other thing they were talking about today is Landon Collins.
I saw that, yeah.
And they probably will
Maybe being
franchise him because he emptied out his locker. He thinks he's leaving.
Really?
He thinks he's done.
Yeah, we don't, and we're going to lose our defensive backfields coach to Cincinnati, where they want him as their defensive coordinator.
Yeah, he looks like he's got a future ahead of him, that guy.
Yeah, he's friends with the coach there, and based on how they played, of course, he didn't have much talent to work with. I don't think that's too big a deal. We can overcome that, I think. And but it's nice to see the pitchers and catchers and the regulars. A lot of regulars are down there. All the Braves are in camp, and on Facebook, Todd Raleigh was saying that the Mariners, as you know, Cal invited to the big camp for spring training, and so a little bonding going on. They're having the Seattle Mariners are having a pool tournament in Peoria, Illinois, Peoria, Arizona. That's where they train, and his partner in the pool tournament is none other than Ichiro.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that's kind of neat.
That is cool.
He's a young kid, and he gets to hang out with Ichiro, and they're playing a little. They have a little inter-team pool tournament going on, and I know Ichiro is a great ping pong player.
I bet you he's good at everything now.
Oh, I'm thinking he's good at everything that he does, no question. But well, I'll hold you up. That's about all I got.
Oh, Leonard, I got one more thing for you.
Yes, sir.
What did you think of the golf this weekend?
Boy, how about slow? Boy, J.B. Holmes.
And big article today. I forget if it was Sports Illustrated or Golf Digest or somewhere about how slow J.B. Holmes is.
Really slow.
Yeah,
they had brought it up
of course,
several
I'd much rather
times
talk
on
about
Sunday.
the week prior. That worked out pretty well for, Philly Mick. He had a pretty good week there at Pebble Beach.
Yeah, he was. He played great. He blew my mind Sunday, the last day.
He was
unreal.
Of course, that's California is where he's won so many tournaments. He just loves those courses, obviously, and. Although he's won at Riviera, that's a tougher course than Pebble. Of course, Pebble was playing quite easy because it was so wet.
All the rain.
For his erratic driving, wherever the ball hit, it stuck.
Yeah.
That Riviera looks tough.
But the best par of the
I
tournament,
love Riviera.
the best par of the tournament
didn't even count.
And that was by Phil Mickelson on the first day on
the
the
rained
10th
out,
hole. If you know Riviera, it's this little 300-yard par 4 with all kinds of bunkers. And he was in 3 bunkers on the 10th hole and made par. Now, that's pretty hard to do.
Yeah,
You're
it
in
is.
3 different bunkers and you end up making par. He drove it in a bunker, hit his second shot in a bunker, and he hit his third shot out of the bunker into another bunker. And then he chipped out of that bunker and chipped in for a par. So
Well,
that's a typical Mickelson par. I mean, so anyway, he's the defending champion at the World Golf Classic there in Mexico City, coming up starting tomorrow.
Yep, tomorrow.
So that's the. But you're right, Riviera is just a great country club. I mean, as I've said this on the show before. I mean, on vacation there with my family, my son and I, we're at a tournament at Riviera and saw Tiger Woods at 16 years old. He was warming up on the practice range.
Really?
That was his first professional tournament he ever played in.
Right. Wow. Is that right? You were there, huh?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I remember at the time, I'm into golf back then too, and I'd heard of Tiger Woods, this young high school kid. I heard that he was a phenom, but I didn't pay much attention to him, But I did see him warm up on the range and took a picture of him. I can't find the negative. I have a picture in the house somewhere of him warming up on the range at 16 there at Riviera. And my wife and daughter was with us, and they're not golfers, so they ended up at the pier in Santa Monica. And but that was one of our Western swing vacations, I remember back then. So, but great, that view coming up 18 there, the clubhouse, that's super.
I love 18. Yeah.
That's good hole. That's good hole. But okay,
alrighty, Leonard.
carry on.
Thanks, Leonard. We'll see you.
Take
Good
care.
to see you, Cam.
Yeah, I'll see you on the course.
Yeah, bye-bye.
We had a little string going, Oker and all our guys, and talking about how those guys were really struggling because it was 50 degrees.
Right.
And
the
the wind was
wind
blowing,
came
and
up.
how
Are you
tough
talking
it
about
was.
this past weekend?
Yeah.
Or
Riviera.
And I said, that isn't anything. You do the member guest tournament.
yeah, no, my.
By the time Sunday rolls around, you are cooked.
So I was actually in a job transition this past summer, and I had to take Monday off in between Sunday and starting my new job because of that excursion itself. But no, I was thinking about that, and you guys talking about that specifically with the older guys, specifically Tiger, because he was in the hunt. I mean, Phil, Tiger, I think they can make a 4-day weekend run still, even at their age. The problem where they get caught up is if you get a West Coast or you get even like a Northeast area where the weather's so drastic, it can change all of a sudden. You start adding delays on top of 4 rounds and breaks in between, getting loose and not getting loose. You saw Tiger lose that momentum because of those delays.
He did look.
Of course,
He looked tired.
Hey, even Justin Thomas.
I mean, they all did.
They lost their swing.
They all did. But
Some of those guys played, 34 holes on Sunday? Some of them played almost.
They played a lot on
Tiger
Saturday.
played 27 on Sunday. I know that.
Yeah.
But they,
That's a lot of golf.
of course, they don't have to carry their bag.
Oh,
Yeah,
they
that
don't, but
helps.
it's still a wear and tear. I mean, you're how old's Tiger? 40.
3, and he's got 1 million miles on him.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Tiger playing 27, he starts out hot, eagles the first, throws a good front 9 together. But when you start to get to that last 9, he's just trying to grind by making 4s out there.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing too that we don't forget, or that we forget, is that those guys are probably hitting 300 balls before they go play one shot.
Good
Yeah,
point.
we just go right out.
Yeah.
You take one practice swing and out you go.
And then I
that's a
also
good
know
point.
down the stretch, the weather dropped drastically and the wind picked up. And down the stretch, guys like JB Holmes, Thomas, who bomb it out there,
Yeah.
315, 330.
Yeah.
I mean, they were ripping them, and they were only going 275,
Really?
280 into the wind.
Wow.
So they've got these par 4s that are 450 to 480.
Yeah.
They're hitting at 270. That's a lot of lumber coming down the stretch,
Yeah.
especially when you're trying to win a tournament.
Well, they should be playing the Champlain Country Club in November like we did.
Or
I
playing
think-
from the back tees in April.
Well, I'll tell you what, when you play in that cold weather, the ball doesn't go.
No?
Your body's cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It stinks.
But boy, the slow play though. That sounded like that was a pretty big story.
Well,
Sounds like that's been. In fact, actually, the story. I mean, it's been there for a while, but the Saudi Arabian, their inaugural tourney. I'm trying to think. Somebody got, I think, Bryson DeChambeau's. Actually, Brooks Koepka. He was there, and he was very open, saying, "Hey, this is crazy. It's
too slow.
Go up and hit the ball, you guys."
Well,
but that was an issue there
on
too.
one hole, they were about through 9, and Thomas was on the other side of the hole in the rough.
Yeah.
JB's on the far side of the fairway on the right.
Yeah.
Thomas is doing his thing. JB's not in the peripheral view, like can't be seen.
Really?
He's doing his whole walkthrough. You can do that prior while the player's hitting the ball. You will not affect them.
And the same thing, they were on the green. I forget what hole when Peter Costas really let JB have it
Is that right for slow play?
because he was the closest one.
Yeah.
So while the other guys are marking it out, he could have taken a look.
Yeah.
And then, of course, he's lining the ball up, and
Yeah.
it was just awful.
Now, Dave, I want to ask you this. I mean, obviously, I watch quite a bit of golf, specifically not JB, but I've watched JB enough. And one thing I noticed, which I haven't picked up on the past, is he had trouble getting comfortable over the ball. He's wiggling into it a little bit more, checking his alignment. He's never been like that before. So I think there's this confidence he doesn't have. And as a result, it adds time.
Of course, he had
But it
one. He
affects
had
the rest
one
of the
for a
field.
while, so
Had
he's
one
probably
in
not
3
the
years.
most confident
Right.
guy out there.
And speaking of somebody who's really gone on the toilet, what about Spieth?
Boy, it's funny because
Well,
he's
he
gotten
had
off to a great
control
start.
of the
He-
tournament out of the gate.
He's had a couple of great first days and weekends have been killing him.
What's that
lately.
par? 71?
Yeah, 71 Riviera.
Because he had 7 under, I think, the first day or one of the first
He
days.
was in first place after the first day
at 7 under.
at 7 under.
Yeah.
But did you see what
Totally
he
lost
did
it.
on Sunday? He had a triple and a quad.
Is that
Strictly
Ryan
from putting or
Tinderelli?
not putting the ball in
He
play?
had 4 putted one. He had one. He
And
just
Pebble,
loses
and,
it.
and Pebble lost
Same
it
thing.
on Sunday. I think he had a double and triple maybe on the back 9 on Sunday at
He
Pebble.
just hit some shots. It looks like when I'm out there.
Yeah.
I mean, he just hits.
Yeah.
He just loses it.
Just wicked erratic, but he's also mixed in some great rounds. But yeah, I don't know, his consistency's
Right,
is gone.
and
at the
that's what
moment.
he relied on, especially pressure situations like majors, where you get a handful of birdies in there and you're not bogeying,
Yeah.
just keeping a play, you're going to be in the
Yeah,
mix.
just
I
don't
think that's
screw
why
up
he
big
was
time. Yeah,
successful
that's been a
before.
little weird. Watching
You know what I
him.
think he did is
Got married. That must.
well that
That can certainly add to it.
that'll screw you up if you aren't happy at home.
hopefully he's happy.
But I think where he got screwed up, I think after not last year but the year before, he felt that he needed to get a little more distance out of his swing,
He's reaching.
and he retooled his swing. And you know what?
Seems
The
like
way
that-
he putted, he didn't need that extra 10 yards.
Yeah.
Jordan Spieth's the
Yeah,
most
that's a good
successful when he's hitting it 280, 285. Hey, you lay into one, you got some momentum, some adrenaline going, no big deal. But you can play the game
Yeah.
at 280. I mean, these guys hit 4s and 5 irons like we hit our 8 or 9 irons.
Yeah.
So
Do you see that guy? Who's the guy? Is it Camp? who hits
Cameron Champ.
Champ.
Yeah, yep.
Holy
Yeah, he's
moly.
good. Yeah, watch out for this guy.
He can hit the ball a mile.
I read
I know.
speaking of golf, I actually read a few things on the internet. I guess Golf World, but it was a story on Mike Weir, old friend Mike Weir.
Yeah,
Yep.
Canadian.
And Canadian, the first
champion.
lefty to win the Masters.
Yep.
Yeah, good guy. But guess where he is these days? He's had a bunch of injuries. I see him
Yeah.
in a tourney once in a while.
Yeah.
And the story was people wondered, hey, is that Mike Weir? It was a Panama Championship on the Web.com tour. Is that the Mike Weir we know? Yeah, it is.
He's playing in the
And
web.com.
he's just kind of
Yeah.
work his way up. But I
He's
guess they give an
losing all of his
exemption on that
exemptions.
tour for PGA players 48 or 49. They can jump in.
Yeah.
And he sounded great. He said, hey, I appreciate this. I'm just trying to work my way up. The younger players love having a pro there. He's been really good to them. But he's finally, I guess, pretty healthy and just hoping he's got a little more life. But good guy.
Well, probably trying to get his game in shape
Oh,
for
sure.
the senior tour.
That could be, which is only a couple of years
Yeah.
away, probably, realistically.
And I did watch that too. My buddy
I've
Angel
been neglecting those guys.
Jimenez
Oh, yeah.
won
Oh, right. Three-way playoff?
Three-way
My man,
playoff.
Bernard Langer lost.
longer.
He's consistent.
He's unreal. What a great golfer.
He's good
Yeah,
for
Masters. He's
61 years
usually,
old.
I know.
even some of the majors on the regular tour, he's sometimes hanging around. a
Hey,
bit.
Freddie played in Los Angeles. Freddie played all right.
Oh,
Freddie
is that right?
Couples.
Freddie played.
It's so funny. I saw a video online the other day with Freddie Couples, and they showed his swing
Great-
now
great
from
swing.
like 20 years ago.
No difference?
It's still identical.
Yeah.
It's the same swing.
Yeah, Freddie's.
Kim,
Freddie
I
was-
mentioned this on the show. Guess where I'm going to be? I'm lucky enough. I'll be at day 2 of the Masters.
Oh my!
I caught it with an
How'd
old
you
friend
score
of mine.
that?
My kid's mother's first cousin who has a connection to Enosburg. They're both
Yeah.
helping to revitalize downtown.
Yeah.
Cousin Betsy lives in Athens, Georgia, successful lawyer.
Wow.
And know her pretty well, but she's got a very good friend, I guess, who's had Masters tickets for
Yep.
years. And she said, Richard, I guess I owe you a little. What day do you want? So
Wow, that's awesome.
But I was here in 2001 when Tiger
Yeah.
fended off Phil and David Duval.
Yeah.
But so I got one day, but that'll be fun.
That's
then
awesome.
then I'll
That's
catch the
exciting stuff.
Heritage as I always
well,
do.
and you can
The
run in
next
our
week.
old buddy T-Bone.
Right. So what? It says second hole. Is
Second
that where he's
hole.
hanging out?
Second hole
He
by the
runs
green.
second hole, so he's your guy.
I'll keep that in
You
mind.
probably get him inside the ropes.
Yeah,
Well, when Sharky went a few years ago, they have to keep the people now walking on a certain spot.
Right.
And except for Sharky, Sharky was somewhere. So he goes, who's that guy? And it turns out it was Sharky.
But I can't wait to check out. I'm sure there's still very reasonable prices.
Yeah.
As I said, I can just see the Masters board saying, "Hey, we're not going to be like these
No.
people gouging. We're going to treat our patrons
Right.
well." And I'm sure, probably get a beer for maybe $5 or something.
That's
a
what it is. You get a hot
pimento
dog for
cheese
$3.
sandwich for
Yeah.
$3 or $4.
Yeah.
No, I love those guys.
That's
That'll be
awesome.
fun. That'll be fun.
Now, let's see.
my
What
bucket
other
list.
sporting news? Now, you guys,
Daytona. Anybody paying
I
attention?
watched.
I didn't see a second. Boy, what a wreck marred. Unreal. Huh?
They've really got the racing all screwed up.
So what and how so? You probably talked about this before. So what have they
Well, they've got
slow people down?
they've been fooling around with the cars,
Huh.
and the cars don't have a good the packages. What they're doing is they've been trying to. The problem with NASCAR is the races haven't been very exciting because all the cars are all about the same.
Yeah.
And so they've been
And
trying to do.
aren't the tracks kind of tamer, for lack of a better word, than they used to be too?
Well, some of the tracks have been ruined, I would
Yeah.
say. But of course, Daytona's always been what they call a restrictor plate
Oh, is that right?
race. And what that means is they put a hole or a steel plate on top of the carburetor,
Huh.
and it reduces the horsepower in the car.
Huh.
So the cars are all the same, and what happens, they're all going 200 miles an hour, and somebody goes in front of somebody, and it lifts up, and when they have a wreck, there's about 20 cars that all go at the
Really?
same time.
Cam, you pay any attention to this?
I don't know a ton. My uncle is very big into NASCAR.
Yeah.
Anything I know is from him, but
All right.
I mean, he's not the most chattiest guy out there, so we don't discuss a ton. But no, not really. But I know it's big down in that area.
Oh,
so.
well, it used to be a lot bigger.
Yeah.
When Uncle Snake and
Well, that's what
I
I'm saying. He would
used to
always
go to the
go.
races,
Yeah.
it,
He loved it. He would.
you
talk
couldn't
about
get
it.
Yeah.
tickets for a lot of
Yeah.
these. Now they're
Yeah, it sounds like NASCAR is kind of hurting.
but it's because the racing is boring.
Is that right?
So they've been trying to inject some artificial suspense. Like instead of having a whole race, now you have 3 segments.
Yeah.
So they want to have a little race at the end of that one segment and then the other segment.
Huh.
But I thought it was a big joke because the guys that ended up winning, I mean, there were only 10 cars left.
Is that Denny? So Denny Hamlin, won a second?
Yeah,
Daytona
I don't
500?
think he was in
I mean,
front
they
of the
rely
whole-
more so on the social aspect, don't they?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
the tailgating and stuff like that. From what I've been told.
Well, Daytona in particular, of course, it's the first race of the year,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's their Super Bowl. Hey, we got a caller.
Hey, caller, fire away. Thanks for checking in. Fire away.
How we doing, guys?
Hey,
We're good.
How are ya?
Good. Yeah, I caught the Daytona also. It's like the Masters. You've got to watch that. It's the first event of the year.
Yeah.
But, oh, my goodness, it's almost with those restrictor plates watching the caribou migrate every year. I mean,
that right?
one
Wow.
behind the other for hours, nothing changes.
Really?
Then the last 15 laps, all hell breaks loose.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
last 15 laps, they need to bring out 6 more lanes. I mean, these 3 lanes just don't hold it. I mean, they go wild. You're almost sleeping the whole race.
Really?
And that last, what should be 10 minutes, which is actually an hour, I mean, it comes to life. And that wreck with 15 cars, I have never seen so many sparks and
Wow.
fire, or not really fire, just sparks sliding down the track. I mean, if a guy wants to make some extra bucks there at Daytona, you just should have a private wrecker service. I mean, I
Wow.
couldn't believe how quick they got these people off the track. They did a fantastic job. It kind of takes it away from the race a little bit. You know, you're all fired up. They get going again, and they don't even get a lap in, and, you know, everybody wrecks again. I mean, I really don't know how to change that up, but, you know, it takes a little bit out of it.
Well, they've really tried to juice it up. I'm kind of interested to see how the racing's going to go next week or this week because they're going full time to some new carburetor or something where the cars now are maybe 900 horsepower. They're only going to be 600 or something.
Oh, yeah.
So they're really
I don't know if anybody has a car left.
well. that it's just a joke because when you look at who ended up winning, I mean the guys that were at the end, they weren't even the best drivers most of the day.
Yeah, just lucky enough to stay out of
If
the.
you could just stay out of the
wrecks.
crash.
No, Hamlin won, but I'd have to think. You know, I don't like those 3 segments to begin with. I like an all-out race. You start, you race till it's finished. You know, but I think you know I don't know. I'm maybe missing something, but I really don't see what they gain out of that.
They're trying so hard to make excitement because
Yeah.
the reason people aren't watching and the reason people aren't going is because it's boring. You want to watch cars pass, watch those Indy cars.
Yeah.
Those cars pass all the time. When was the last time they had a race where
Yeah,
a
I
guy
think-
charged from the back like Dale Earnhardt or something and pulled it out at the end? Never. Been forever.
Yeah, Kyle Busch was probably the best driver Sunday.
I haven't touched that drink heartily.
But I don't really know. And then I read that the guy that was the boss of NASCAR, that France, they canned him and replaced him with a nephew or something because he had a drug problem or something.
Really?
Yeah.
You know, I haven't really watched much of racing the last few years. I was a big Earnhardt fan, like most people, you know, and that's kind of who I always rooted for. And when, you know, when he kind of ended it a few years ago, I kind of backed off. But looking at that lineup Sunday, there was half of the people I'd never even heard of.
Yeah.
So
A lot
I
of
said,
young.
you know, I've got to kind of reintroduce myself here.
Well, they're working at it now. I got to ask you, caller, with Machado getting $300 million, how much are the Red Sox going to have to pay Mookie Betts.
Right. A lot of money.
Well,
He's getting
I don't
20
know.
mil
I
this
know
year.
he must have been licking his chops at the time. You made a good point, David, about 6 weeks ago. Him maybe ended up in New York. Now, Aaron Hicks leaves next year. His contract is done with. You're going to have, I think, Trout is a free agent next year. So I think this year you're only getting a little taste of long holdouts. Next year may tell it all. And the Red Sox, they're negotiating now, what I understand, with a couple of our players. Mookie, they haven't really talked to him yet. Bogarts, some say he will be gone, but, it's going to be very interesting. There's going to be several teams after Mookie Betts, of course. Trout, if I was Trout, I would hit free agent. He's never going to win anything with the Angels.
No.
He can hop on with the Red Sox, with the Yankees, with the Dodgers. I'm sure the Phillies are still every year going to be in the hunt for a big name player like him. But I really don't know. I mean, will it go up to 35, 40 million a year? Who knows?
Well,
But
Mookie Betts
with the
is
Red
certainly good
Sox,
enough.
financially, we won the World Series, but we did pay for it. We with big money. But again, we have 3 or 4 key players to sign. So, what do? You have so much money to spend. Do you spend it all on one person, or do you let Mookie walk, or make him an offer, a kind of a hometown offer, and let him walk and sign Bogart, sign Benintendi, sign Chris Sale, or do you put all your money with Mookie? So that's got a big question. I think the Red Sox are going to have to talk about.
Yeah, you're right. Something tells me Mookie's not going to be taking any hometown discount. I mean, Mookie's made it pretty clear that he'll get what he can get. It's sure if Dombrowski.
You know what I would do? I would let him walk, and I would sign if Chris Sale has a decent year, no injuries, pitching wins. So I would sign Chris Sale. Benintendi, I mean, he's not a $30 million player. I would sign him and see what you can do with Bogarts. If I knew I wasn't going to sign Mookie, why not trade him, midway through the season? You got to get something for him, and I just can't see the Red Sox signing everybody as much as I would like to see that. It just, I don't think can happen.
No, it's not. It's not going to happen.
Well,
they're not going to sign everybody.
They'll lose. They've got a couple of bad contracts that they're stuck with right now. They're paying Hanley
They
Ramirez.
still have Hanley, right? Do they
And
probably
they're still paying
Pablo?
Pablo Sandoval.
My good friend Pablo.
So those things will be gone in a couple of years. There's about $50 million right there.
Yeah, that's some bucks.
And
What's
Rusney
that put
Castillo.
us at, $200 million?
Yeah. But
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
It brings us down some, David. You're correct. But what we have to sign to just maintain who we have is, double or triple of what we're getting rid of. And, let's not forget we're still very lean in the bullpen.
Yeah.
lean is a very nice
And in
way
fact,
of putting it.
Mr. Bobby, you probably caught the news. Mr. Brazier, I guess, got sent to Boston for a pinky toe infection or something.
Oh, jeez.
Didn't sound wicked serious, but they shipped him back to Boston. Meanwhile, Mr. Kimbrell's still.
So
still
it will
hanging
be
around.
certainly interesting. But I can't be too greedy being a Red Sox fan. The last 15 years, they've been very kind to all us fans. There's a few World Series rings, and
Yep, 4. Count 'em.
you just can't win the thing every year. So, although I would like to, so we just kind of have to be glad for what we have.
No, you're right. We've been Red Sox fans, myself included, incredibly lucky. They've had a pretty good run in the 2000s so far.
I also, just to make a note, because that's a great point by the caller there, is that, especially with the team last year, a lot of their stud guys won a World Series in the first half of their career. And once they win that World Series, unfortunately, it is a business.
Yeah.
They're obviously going to be all about the money from that point.
Seems like this most players
right.
are.
So as a result, unfortunately, there's going to be some turnover in that situation, especially like we see from last year. So
Yeah, it's bound to be.
Yeah, I just tuned in a little bit ago, and Machado, I thought, all I was hearing, I listened to, ESPN on the way home from work, and, people complaining because he hasn't signed. Now that he signed, people are complaining where he signed. But I think, personally, he landed in a great spot. To me, he's a California player anyways, the warm weather. And if somebody asked me where I would like to play a sport, I would say San Diego, California, where it's warm all the time. It's just gorgeous out there. And he's with a team they claim has a very, very good farm system. And he did get a long contract, but, I think he can turn around and be a mentor eventually for these younger people. And, he's still only 26. And, say these young kids come up in 4 or 5 years. I mean, he's barely 30. So I think San Diego is a very good fit for him. So, we'll see how it pans out. And, they have Hosmer at first. I forgot the shortstop's name, but a really good shortstop there. And you got, Machado playing third and, with a couple prospects and, maybe, a couple trades here and there, they could be right in business.
Well, it's not.
I don't think the Giants really are that strong. I mean, you just got to match up with the Dodgers in the future and see what, you got to do there. So I think Machado landed there. I like it because we don't have to face him. So, it's now, it looks like Bryce Harper going to the Phillies. So, we'll see how that plays out.
I remember one time the Giants, not the Giants, but the Yankees, they were talking to Cashman. And he was talking, because the Yankees have had a lot of experience with these long-term deals.
And a lot of it not real good.
No, but what Cashman says, hey, if you get a 6-year deal or an 8-year deal and you get 5 good years,
You're doing pretty well.
You're doing all right. And so I think with San Diego, they're trying to do basically what the Nationals did about 10 years ago when they signed not Jason Worth. Who was the guy? Was it Jason Worth?
Nighthawk said the Red Sox were just on the brink of getting the Nats gave maybe one more year or something.
Yeah, kind of a franchise player.
They're really maybe their ownership is sick of being a second division team.
And I think the owner's like 85 or something.
So
not a young guy.
So the Padres maybe
the Nats owner
are having maybe this is a transformational thing where they're going to be good for a while. But Machado, I was listening today to Dan Duquette, who was the
of course Red Sox, Baltimore Orioles recently.
Orioles GM, and he says, Machado, he goes, is a 6.4 WAR player for the last 5 years. He said those guys, that's a superior player. And
too bad he's just not a more likable guy.
Person. That's the problem.
Yeah.
And I can see him getting fatter, and I can see him being a real albatross the last 3-4 years of this thing. But who knows? That's the way it is. The problem we got, caller, is
10 years. God.
The cream of the crop free agents, I think, are always going to get their money.
Yeah.
There's almost been nobody. You can't say, even in the last couple of years, oh, well, this guy, he didn't get market value. They were talking about Jake Arrieta.
Oh, yeah.
He thought he got lowballed.
Yeah.
He got a $100 million contract.
Yeah.
J.D. Martinez.
I was about to mention J.D. I mean, that's not too bad a contract.
He got $100
$20
million
million plus.
Hey,
you take that.
They were talking today about Moustakas went back to Milwaukee for $10 million.
No, yeah.
Oh,
yeah, he went back on another 1-year contract.
1 year, $10 million. $10 million.
Probably live on that.
Is a lot of money. That's not too bad. No. So.
And again, to turn it back a week, remember we were talking Atlanta signing the Toronto's third baseman there for $23 million?
Yeah, they.
So I mean, again, right now he would probably get about $7 million if Moustakas got $10 million.
Well, the trend now is the elite free agents are going to get their money,
Yeah.
but your run-of-the-mill guys, your 32-year-old guy,
Yeah.
he's going to be lucky to get a 1 or 2 year deal.
Yeah.
And that's
Somebody
what it is.
somebody offers those guys a contract. You might want
And
to
I
take
think,
it.
I think what you're going to see is you're going to see.
Yeah, you don't see the people getting 18 or 20 million. It's 8 or 10 or 30. You know, you're right. It's that in the middle type guy. You know, and there's still a lot of good free agents left out there.
Well, a guy.
You're a
But now you
bunch
know
of
you
them.
grab your shopping cart and you get your bargains.
Who's the guy from the Pirates, their second baseman? He signed today with somebody. He'd been out there. Oh, I can't think of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. I'm not quite as sharp in the National League.
No, Nighthawk.
Nighthawk could tell us in a second.
And the other thing they were saying is they think that all these guys will all be signed by next week.
Really? Well, you'd think if you're going to sign somebody, you think you might want to sign him one of these weeks.
Well, you got to give them a little spring training.
Yeah, games are starting this week. Friday.
No,
Yeah,
I think next
make
year,
extra
David,
games.
your Yankees will be in the market for outfielder. Brett Gardner signed a 1-year contract, right?
Gardner
No, is that
signed a
right? 1 year? How
And,
much?
Aaron Hicks is a free agent next year.
Not a bad contract.
Well, if Hicks
So
plays
that
well,
puts a little bit of room in the outfield.
if Hicks plays well, they'll keep him because he's an excellent fielder and he's a switch hitter, which they need because they got too many right-handed bats. And the other guy they've got that everybody thought he was the next coming of Babe Ruth, or not Babe Ruth, but maybe a second coming of Jacoby Ellsbury, was this Clint Frazier, who they got for Andrew Miller from Cleveland. And he's had concussion issues all last year. So they're thinking, well, maybe if he turns out good. And then, of course, you still have Judge, and then you got Stanton. They got plenty of outfielders. And then they got this kid, Esteval Florio, who's supposedly a 5-tool player. He still strikes out too much, but who knows? But
Yeah,
anyway,
time will tell. Okay, I'll let you guys go. Great show, guys. Have a good
Okay.
evening.
Hey, thanks for calling. We'll see you. Thank you. Again, our number. Love
Bob.
calls. Love our calls. Again, 528-5315. The name Chris Sale came up. Nice. Dan Shaughnessy in the Boston Globe had a nice long interview with him. And Shaughnessy, just good words. Shaughnessy has cut David Price, not the most fun guy to deal with.
No.
A lot of slack. But Shaughnessy just loved talking to Sale. Sale's pretty straightforward guy. Makes it sound like he feels like he's in pretty good shape. Said he obviously didn't pitch a ton last season. He said, hey, again, quoting from this, going into this year, hopefully that helps a little bit, not pitching so much last year. And I can be out there for 30-plus starts and 200-plus innings and be there ready when it's crunch time. That'd be nice. But, of course, he's asked about his contract and pretty much said, hey, my agents deal with that. It's never been an issue with me. I'm not worried about it. But he loves Boston. He said, I'd love to come back here. This is a special place. This is a special group of people, a very special city, and an unbelievable fan base. Not to mention the fact that we've got a hell of a team, and we're going to have that team for a few years to come. It's a good place for me. It's a good spot. I'd love to keep playing here. We'll see how it works out. And Shaughnessy at the end, again, with interviewing tough guys, just loves Sale. Just at the end of the story, this is Shaughnessy. When compared with other Sox aces of our recent lifetime, Sale has been the opposite of Roger Clemens, Pedro Martinez, Josh Beckett, and teammate David Price. Team above self, substance over style, no drama, no nonsense, just great pitching. And on a rainy February afternoon in Fort Myers, a few well-chosen words.
Yeah, no,
But Sale
Sale's
sounds
all right.
like just a real straightforward guy, and I just hope his arm. I mean, key for the Red Sox. If he's healthy, then I consider the Yanks look like they've got a bit of an upper hand here. If Sale's healthy, should be a good battle.
If he's top notch, he's good.
And as Bobby said, Bobby'd rather you need pitching and stuff. If he seems healthy, I would think the Red Sox might pay big buckos to keep
The
him.
good teams always have
Yeah.
good starters.
Yeah. Cam, what's your big sport? What do you pay the most attention to?
I mean, I certainly, as a guest, I don't mind you guys talking about the Giants and baseball and stuff, but I feel like there's a lot more exciting stuff going on right now. Huh? Well, I mean,
like your 49ers, they're really good.
I mean, to be honest with you, the 49ers, they got banged up from a big-time injury.
But Jimmy G, you're looking for big times with Jimmy G?
Yeah, I mean, if we can get him healthy and then McKinnon healthy, you've got George Kittle with a breakout year, broke several records within the Niners franchise, and then, possibly like an Antonio Brown, where he'll get all the light on the outside. He'd be their stud guy. There's definitely some opportunity there.
Has he made some noise about San Fran?
Apparently, he works out with Jerry Rice,
Oh, really?
and I don't know how credible the source is.
Yeah.
It's apparently from Jerry, but
Really?
Antonio wants to be there because of what
Really?
they got going.
Wow. I'm sorry, who are you talking to, Zach?
They might as well get Jerry Rice.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the thing is with Antonio Brown is I know he became a distraction at the end, but you've got people like Shushu Smith-Schuster who breaks out as well.
Yeah.
There's not room for two high-level wide receivers in a program like that, specifically. So, and I think, unfortunately, Antonio's had success before Shushu Smith-Schuster, and he likes to get the ball. He's like another Odell Beckham. He wants the attention.
Yeah. What's the story with the Steelers? Is it a Mike Tomlin-ish? I mean, they seem to have more than their
No, it's him not getting the ball. He's
All right, that's simple
Of
for
course,
him.
Tomlin-
Of course, the running back.
You got Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell, I think, just was strictly a money thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he was on his last year, and he didn't want to go out there and get hurt and
Wouldn't
then
be franchise, all right?
Right,
So-
exactly, and then he'd be in a bad spot come the last
And
year.
then
But geez, he would have been, even franchise, he would have gotten, what, 14 mil or
right,
something?
but what he was thinking of is there
Yeah.
was a guy for the Steelers that blew up his knee who was going to be a free
So that's
agent.
what he was afraid
And
of,
he
obviously.
lost because with football,
Yeah.
the contracts aren't guaranteed.
Sure.
And a 1-year deal is $15 million, but a 4 or 5 year deal might be $50 or $60 million.
Yeah. So will he get the big contract that he was thinking he was going to get?
Running backs don't get big money.
I mean,
Really?
it doesn't matter
That seems like a questionable decision. I mean, 15 mil, should be enough money to get you by for a few years.
Well,
you'd
in the
think.
Steelers' case, you look at the backup running backs that took over Bell.
who did great.
It was the system that brought the success. I mean, yes, maybe
Sounds
they missed
like
a
the
step or
Patriots.
two, but all in all,
Yeah.
I mean, he was put in a running system where he was successful from the get-go, and he's been able to build confidence off of that.
Yeah.
I'm not taking anything away from his athleticism
Yeah.
or his ability to make plays,
Yeah.
but, they brought in the backup, Connor, and
No, he did great.
And he did great.
Yeah.
So,
But Antonio, it sounds like the receiver just wasn't getting not getting
him
enough
and
for
Ben had issues on the sideline. Like I
Really?
said, he started mixing it up. Shushu Smith-Schuster started getting the ball.
Yeah.
He wasn't getting the ball all the time. And when you start to kind of bring that to the table, it's tough to be, successful. I think with the Pats offensively, they know going in, it doesn't matter who gets the ball as long as the first down's completed.
Yeah. But one funny thing about, talking about someone who didn't get the ball, who's only won, not single-handed, but James White probably should have been the MVP a few years ago.
Yep.
Did he not even touch the ball in the last Super Bowl? That seemed a little weird, but they go with, Sony Michel had a good game, Rex Burkhead. But it's funny, James White's been a huge guy, and I'm not even sure he touched the ball. But they won.
Now, I did read something today about Gurley. I guess Gurley hurt his knee a lot worse than
It must have been.
Yeah.
It must have had it.
That's why they weren't
I
playing him.
said that from the beginning. They wanted
have
to
been
say,
something.
but they didn't want to add that to the medium just for something to thrive off of.
Yeah.
He won the Player of the year before.
Yeah.
You're telling me that you're not that there isn't something wrong with
My
him?
mic isn't
Yeah.
working?
So we have some mic issues, huh?
But no, I mean, you got that, but other inside information. I actually end up calling the BFA Essex game with Mark Needleman.
Oh, really? Oh, great.
A couple weeks ago, the first game of 2 games against Essex.
Yeah.
The Bob Whites unfortunately fell short.
The second one being the 0-0 game.
First game they lost 2-1 at the Plex.
Wow.
That was the game I called.
Wow.
It was a goaltender's game. Sammy Foster, the kid from Essex, good player. And then, of course, you've got the Ellis kid from BFA who's been there.
Yeah.
And then they go down to Essex and they get a 0-0 tie. So
Boy, you
you're
don't see a lot of 0-0 ties.
well, you know,
huh?
I think this year that I've
Kinda like
seen
the Super Bowl.
because I've looked at a lot of the schedules in depth. There's not a whole lot of scoring.
Yeah.
I think the Foster kid for Essex and the Ellis kid, obviously for BFA,
Yeah.
are probably two of the more impactful, better players on each one of those teams.
Yeah.
But you're talking 3 goals combined between
Boy, 2 games.
two
That's
programs that
unreal.
have won the championship.
No, I
every
got to
other
tell
year.
you, my buddy, the one that kid that I coached, actually get the shutout the other day was LaRush. Played goalie for BFA.
He played in game 2.
He played in game 2.
That's awesome.
Tyler LaRush.
Yeah, and,
All right.
and Tyler's been there too, and I know Tyler's a good player. He played with my cousin Connor growing up. And, you know, the one thing BFA's had over the past couple of years, I think they've lost it a little bit offensively. There's just not the numbers, but the goaltending seems to be better than ever in the recent years, and that's kept them in the games. Essex is 12-2-2. Bob White's are 12-3-2.
Wow.
They're neck and neck. So looks like we're shaping up for possibly another
Looks
BFA
like it,
Essex matchup, which we love to
That's
see
right.
down at the Gut.
Yeah.
So
Meanwhile, the girls are doing great.
Girls,
they're running the table.
Yeah, is that right?
Yeah. So I noticed this the other day. And of course, when your girl played, girls hockey was just booming, but they had the numbers. There's only 6 teams right now in Division 1.
Is that lower? I mean, have they
Yeah.
lost?
They've
something?
had more than that.
Is that right?
But you're talking about the top 2
Really?
seeds automatically going to the semifinals.
Well, the other thing
Oh,
that's
really?
changed too is you got teams like Colchester and Burlington made just
Combining.
one team.
Yeah.
Wow.
Last year you had South Burlington and,
so is that-
or
is
Mount
that-
Mansfield and somebody.
Really? Is that an
Yeah.
issue in general, as it's been in football? Is that becoming an issue
Well,
in hockey too?
you got to remember that the school population in
good
Vermont
point. No,
is
numbers-
down 25%.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
So they
I mean, BFA, down hundreds of kids. I mean, it used to be, 12, 13
Used to be-
kids
I
there?
graduated with 1,300 kids.
Did you really?
they're about 800 now.
Yeah.
Is that they're
I
doing
didn't
that
graduate
much?
with, but between the
Right.
4
Is
classes,
that
I had about
right?
350 in my grade.
Wow. Boy, that's a good point. Numbers
But you
are
know,
way
the
down.
thing is, in
Glad that expenses have gone down so much commensurately.
Oh,
right?
they haven't.
I'm kidding.
but you know, to go off that, Dave, you know, combining teams. You mentioned Burlington and South Burlington. I know they did that with their football program,
Yeah.
and even though both of those teams don't have as many kids, you still take the best 10 athletes from South Burlington and the best 10 from Burlington.
It'd be a pretty good
Obviously,
team.
you're going to have a program that's going to be successful, and I'm pretty sure they won this past year.
Yeah.
So,
Well, the other problem you're getting to though with these kids is there's an epidemic of parents taking their kids out and putting them in a prep school.
yeah.
That's
Thinking-
more so than usual.
Oh yeah, more
is
so
that right?
than hey when
Just as they dream about their kids making it to the
They-
big time, gotta
There's
get
a
them in
lot of
prep
that
school.
going
there's a lot of
Oh,
that,
really?
and not just for hockey. I mean, it's for every sport,
that right?
everything.
Yeah.
How many? What year do they typically do that?
They some sophomore, some
Well,
juniors.
That
it
for-
used to be more of a like when me and
Like
Bud
an
played.
extra year
It used to be more of
sometimes?
a post grad thing.
Right.
But the problem is now is kids are getting pressured to leave earlier because these prep school coaches
Yeah.
they want to build a program off a kid who's going to be there 2 to 4 years,
Right.
not 1 year.
Right.
And as a result, if a kid thinks that maybe he has an opportunity to go to that next level, he's pressured to leaving earlier.
Really
And I think that's the push that you see right now.
Well,
interesting.
the key is, and that all of these guys are all, a lot of times are getting sold a bill of goods. Because unless you're the cream of the crop,
Yeah.
if you're a
It's not like
third
you're gonna
liner
be a
for prep
star,
school,
yeah.
you aren't getting any action. Right.
Yeah.
You gotta be the best of the best. But it's not just hockey, it's not just basketball, it's every sport.
Really?
Yeah, you see it with lacrosse now. You see
the
it with
specialization,
baseball,
yeah.
basketball.
Really.
Rice has 2 girls teams. They've got their regular girls team
And the prep.
and then they got their prep team. Same
Same
with
for
the
the
boys,
boys.
team, and they play in a league. And but it's not anything. I'm not that familiar with it, so I'm I'm a dinosaur when it comes to that stuff. Hey, if John LeClair could play for the Montreal Canadiens and University of Vermont from playing for BFA, Vermont athletics weren't in any higher regard 30 years ago than they are today. I remember Jim Cross used to say, I'm never going to take a kid from Vermont.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Really?
And
Well, Snedden's been the same way, and he's missed out on 2 kids who could have made a huge difference.
Riley
UVM.
Wetmore could have played for UVM.
Riley Wetmore was top 10 in hockey scoring 3 out of his 4 years.
But they didn't think he was good enough.
He captained the team twice, and he went to 2 Frozen Fours, and he wanted to play for Snedden.
Is that right? And Snedden literally had no interest in him?
If you're from Vermont, UVM doesn't really like you that much.
And UVM basketball's no different, really, or not usually.
Of course, the difference is UVM basketball is good, but they should have taken that St. Amour kid. We talked about that.
Yeah, seemed like a reason.
That kid could have played.
Yeah.
He could have played for UVM.
Yeah.
But you go through that. It's like when Matt Johnson went to UVM.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sat on the bench for 2 years.
Is that right? Wow.
He didn't all of a sudden learn how to play basketball.
Yeah.
But
Interesting.
I can understand why they do it. Let's face it. Take basketball, for instance. There's 600,000 people in the state of Vermont. That's the size of one good city.
Like it's about the size of Boston. It's just a little smaller than the city of Boston.
Yeah, so the whole state, it really isn't much.
Not a ton of people.
But you don't know until you give the guy a chance.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you think he'd be at least somewhat open-minded about it once in a while.
But when
you're going to get a Matt Johnson or John LeClair, I guess.
But the problem is you would think after missing a layup, you take the Wetmore kid, for example, you get the Finkelstein kid from the Burlington area. Snedden doesn't want anything to do with him.
Really?
He goes to St. Lawrence, has a successful year.
Wow.
He's playing at BC now.
Wow.
I mean, these are guys that I don't understand it.
Seems kind of strange.
Hey, we had that same discussion with my same bunch. And I said, if you were a really good player, would you want to play for UVM right now?
No, you absolutely
and UVM
wouldn't.
pretty much took 2 losses to Northeastern over
They're
the
done.
weekend.
They're
I
done.
guess mathematically not quite, but yeah, effectively they're done.
And they're riding
No
off
playoffs.
that 08 Frozen Four. They're
this
still
is with a
off
really
that.
good goalie. Imagine had they not had good goaltending.
Oh,
year.
geez, this kid was good.
He's one of the best goaltenders in the nation.
Imagine if they
doesn't
just had mediocre goaltending.
And I went to a couple games this year, and when they do
I'll
get
catch one. I
leads-
think I'm going to catch Nighthawk's going to go with him to the last game at the Curran Gutterson, I guess.
But even when they do get leads, they sit back and they play not to lose, and you can't do that in Hockey East.
Yeah.
You've got to play to win. You've got to score goals when you're playing Providence, UMass Lowell, BU, BC. UMass Amherst is good this year.
Yeah.
And you watch them sit back. It's like they're playing to play 500 almost.
And Coach Sen again just got re-upped for another few years, right?
I don't know. Yeah, it was, what was it, halfway through last year he got his
So
contract?
I'm just struck by just there's so little. I mean, imagine if he was in even a middle media market and stuff. You'd think he'd be getting just a lot of grief. He gets so little grief, seemingly.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously Snedden knows way more than my opinion of hockey. I get that, but from a local fan or a fan of the university, when I'm going down to UVM to watch a game last year and I'm falling asleep in the second period, and my buddy goes, "Hey, let's go to the Windjammer. This isn't really fun anymore."
Really?
That's saying something.
That is so true because those games are so boring.
Yeah.
Interesting.
They're terrible. They're awful to watch.
I went to a
Do you catch some basketball? You catch any basketball
yeah,
games?
I did. I
finally caught one game earlier in the season.
Yeah, I just went to the Albany game.
Yeah.
I actually had privilege to sit in the O'Connell seats. They own the Windjammer, and so I sat courtside,
Oh, great.
right on the floor,
Yeah.
and
That must be cool.
It was very cool. I think
First jobs going back many decades. My first job before I came up here as a full-time plus, journalist. My first assignment, which I probably mentioned, was covering ACC basketball for the Greensboro Record when I was at UNC journalism school. Talk about a pretty nice.
That's a plum
folks
job.
like David Thompson.
Yeah.
Anyway,
But
so press row.
no. So I was right next to the score table and whatnot. Had my own seat right there on the floor. Actually, almost got hit in the head by a ball that was thrown a little bit high, but No, that's a very good team. I know.
Is that a
good
Saturday
team.
afternoon game?
Yeah, it was the 2:00 against Albany. They won by like 20.
Pretty easy win.
Easy win. They are right now 11-1 in their conference.
I went to that game.
Another great team.
With Brucey.
Yeah, they're 21-5, and they actually have an RPI of 64, which basically
Really?
tells you they're beating the teams they should, and they're not getting blown out by the teams they shouldn't. They lost to a Louisville game, which should have beat Duke. They lost to Louisville by 8, and they only lost.
Louisville, certainly, Duke coming back by
And they only
23
lost to
points.
Kansas by about 14, and was actually
I saw that game.
winning.
It was a decent game.
They were up by
First half was
halftime.
maybe
Yeah.
2 points.
It was a close one.
I saw an article.
No, they were very disciplined, very good team.
Now that we're getting back to basketball, I saw an article that said that maybe the committees ought to start looking at a few more of these mid-majors
Really? I agree.
who lose their tournament finale.
I agree totally.
But the problem is the committees are all loaded up
Sure.
for the big power conferences.
well, that's where all the money is.
Sure.
So we almost kind of talked about.
So
that
they'll
too.
take.
But I agree. I mean, last year, UVM would have been a legit.
How about
lose
UVM?
to UMBC in the championship game after a
Hey,
very solid
UMBC beat
season.
Virginia. Virginia's the number 1 seed.
Right.
Yeah.
Watch out. Virginia might well grab the national championship this year.
They're definitely
Very
up
good
there.
team.
So these middle level teams, some of them are really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Vermont always gets like a 15 seed or a 16 even when they get in. They aren't that bad. They're better than that.
They're actually starting to get some credit because as of right now, they're projected to be the 13 seed
Is that
playing
right?
against a number 4 Purdue team,
Yeah.
which I really
Who
like.
they
that
played a
matchup
good game against postseason a couple of years ago.
Exactly.
Played a very competitive
Except
game.
they don't have that Swanigan kid down low, so they're not going to face the size that they did last time around. And they were tight. I think they kept it within 10 at that game too.
Oh yeah, that was a competitive game.
But Dave's right. I mean, you look at these teams on the bubble that are getting in over UVM, and I look at the resume and I don't see a whole lot of difference.
Yeah.
You know, there's talk about UVM trying to get into the A10.
Yeah.
I think UVM went 3-1 against A10 teams this year.
Yeah.
That's a team that has a Davidson, a VCU, a Dayton, all teams that have had Sweet 16 pushes at some point in time in their.
Hey, I'm an ACC guy, but I think, it would be crazy to me. I mean, ACC could get, 7 or 8, maybe even 9 teams
Well,
in.
you gotta.
I wouldn't be crazy to me to say, hey, PowerCon, we're going to try to spread the wealth around a little more and cap any conference like it's 6 teams or something. That wouldn't be crazy to me.
The
Well,
500
they'll
ACC
Probably
team.
never happen, I'm
The
sure.
500 ACC team gets in every time.
Yeah, they're even talking. Who? Clemson? Anybody? See
Clemson's
Clemson? Florida State. Who won that game? Anybody?
Florida State being by 11.
Florida State won.
So Clemson's a team to me
that might be enough for Clemson. Probably not to
Of course, there
make
is.
March Madness.
The chances are, let's face it, to be honest.
To be honest, I mean, Clemson's. Yeah,
To be honest,
pretty
a
good-
500
pretty good team.
ACC team
Sure.
Yes.
is probably better
Sure.
than they'd be a number 1 team if they played in the same. If they played in America East.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Sure. I mean, Syracuse, are they heading for another kind of bubble? They seem to be always on the bubble.
Yeah.
But they beat Duke at Duke. I mean, that'll
That'll help them.
I think they've kind of solidified their spot as long as they win the games they should and don't lose the games they shouldn't. But again, it goes back to what you guys are saying. They're going to favor a 500 ball club over someone in the America
Sure.
East.
And you can make a case for that, but no, I felt bad. UVM, it seems like would have been a very legit team to throw in the NCAA, even having lost to UMBC in the
Right,
championship
on a
game.
buzzer beater.
Now, speaking of which, they're playing at UMBC tomorrow night. They're off tonight.
Yeah.
And then they've got Stony Brook on Saturday.
Yeah.
2 away game. In fact, then UMass Lowell on the road and come back for home games, Maine, Albany.
Hey, they just barely beat Hartford.
I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah.
screwing up
Oh,
here.
yeah.
They just got by Hartford.
I'm
Just
screwing up. At UMBC tonight, at Binghamton Saturday, then home for Stony Brook and UMass Lowell to finish the regular season.
Yeah.
But no, what a good team. I'm really impressed with the UVM Hoopsters.
well, I
Very
think
good
Lamb
team.
could play for most any college team.
Yeah.
He threw
looks-
up like
Yeah.
25 against Kansas.
And what about a pro? I mean, a conceivable pro for Anthony Lamb? Or
Well, I don't
He's
know.
probably a Europe,
European
type guy.
Yeah. Probably not NBA. I'm sure you guys. Oh, we got a call.
Oh.
Thank you, caller. Fire away. We got 15 minutes left. Go ahead.
Hey guys, no one couple of the guys on the show were good golfers. I wanted to see what you thought about all the guys putting with the pins in this year.
Yeah, big new rule change.
You
putt with a flag.
I'm going to putt with a flag for sure on the long putts.
Yeah.
But I remember one time watching Ken Venturi when you're chipping, and he said, if you want to make it, take the pin out.
Really? Because I always leave the pin in.
I always leave it in too because I'm not that good.
So, caller, what do you think? Were you happy with that rule change?
Oh, I'm putting with the pin in this year, boys. I can tell you that for free.
I love it.
I hear you. Cam, what about you?
For me, I agree with Dave. If I'm probably like short side off the green, but I'm probably within 20 to 30 feet.
Yeah.
Trying to play like a little bump and run. I'm probably taking the pin out. But generally speaking, if I've got a putt over 30 feet, I'm just trying to two putt from there. I think the pin actually plays into my favor because when the flag's out, I feel like you're trying to make it, and as a result, you're bringing a 3-putt into play.
Yeah.
If you just focus on the flag stick itself, trying to get it within a 3-foot radius, I think you notice your total putting is going to go down overall. So I'm kind of happy with it.
Caller, did you watch the golf this weekend? Did you notice when Adam Scott was putting and the wind was whipping the flag, and the stick was really wiggling? I'm thinking, why don't you just take that stupid pole out?
Yeah, it seems like in that case that might not help you.
I wasn't watching, but I also want to talk about the AL East. I saw today the Yankees are 125 to win the AL East. Red Sox are plus 140. What do you guys think about that?
I'm hammering the Sox at plus 140.
I'm a Red Sox guy. In fact, I was saying all last season, or most of it, that the Yankees I thought had the better team. Shows you what I know. But
if
with
Sanchez,
the Yankees bullpen work, I think
honest,
the Yankees look like the better, a little better team, I guess. I don't know.
if Sanchez comes back and plays like he did 2 years ago, it's going to be a runaway.
But I'm not sure run. I mean,
It's going to be a runaway.
Yeah, but
your bullpen is leaky.
But with starting pitching, if Chris Sale's healthy, story today about Eduardo Rodriguez with a new pitch. If Red Sox starting pitching, which could be extremely good, if it's really good, I think it might be a fairly tight race.
When we talked about the big trade last year with the Yanks and they brought on Stanton there, I remember this guy saying that it was a runaway this past year.
Yes, did not win them a pennant or World Series
and
last
for
year.
me, I'd rather put down $100 to win 140 than 125 to win 100.
Red Sox starting pitching, David Price. David seemed to have finally kicked it up. I mean, Red Sox starting pitching could be very good.
I don't know. I think Sale's going to be too brittle.
Yeah.
I think Price is going to revert back to form.
Well, if that happens, your guys are looking pretty good.
You're going to have Porcello's nothing great. Rodriguez.
Every other
We
year
got
it is.
Evaldi. He's great.
Evaldi.
He's very efficient.
Evaldi's a man.
I'll never forget
Evaldi earned
Evaldi's-
his money this year.
I'll never ever forget his extra.
No, he earned his
We
money.
don't need all-star pitching. We can throw up 7 to 10 runs
Well,
every
you aren't
game.
going to
Red
get it, but
Sox
your
pitching
bullpen
may be pretty
Your
good.
bullpen is going to be the SS Minnow. It's on.
They found some bodies last year. What do you think, caller?
I just think the Red Sox didn't do anything to get better, and they're just taking a victory lap this year, and I don't like it.
Absolutely, you're
They
right, caller.
Still have some pretty good players. This is still a pretty good team.
That does worry me, and that kind of goes off our
Hey,
comment.
let's just look at what the Yankees picked up this year.
Craig Kimbrell's hanging out at home right now eating Cheetos.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about that.
All right.
Where's he? No bullpen.
No.
Dustin Pedroia stinks.
They have a bullpen.
Pedroia
yeah.
is done.
Brazier.
Yeah, I would think so. Brazier had a very good year. Barnes, for the record, everybody makes it sound like they got nobody out there. They could maybe use another body or two. They have some good relief.
Well, your
pitching.
bullpen was so good that they had to use Evaldi and Bryce.
No, it was
all
good
through the playoffs.
It was good. It was good. But the relief pitchers themselves pitched very well late in the year.
If you
That's
look,
a
very
in the
erratic
Dodgers
year.
uniform now.
if you look at what the Yankees did,
Oh, the Yankees,
all right,
great moves.
they were 8 games back. Who've they picked up? They got Britton, who's and Britton now I guess is pitching lights out because he had that torn Achilles, and the doctor told him last year it's going to take at least a year before you're better. They've picked up Octavio, who's a hell of a bullpen guy. Paxson,
Ottavino?
Octavio, he was He had crazy numbers with Colorado. They picked up Paxton. Paxton is a stud, a number one pitcher.
Not the healthiest guy in the world.
Not the healthiest guy, but when he's right, he's good. And then on top of that, they got this Mayhew, who's an all-star from Cleveland or from Colorado, to play second and third.
Sounds like a very good player.
And who else did we get? We're going to have Frazier back, and Yankees. Like I said, it all revolves around Sanchez, who last year was considered their best hitter. Plus, don't forget, Judge was out for 52 games last year.
That's all right.
He only played 110 games. So,
But again, for the record, early season last year, you were very confident. Your guys.
He was
were,
confident. He was confident middle of January.
I think people are putting the rank. No, great moves by the Yankees. This looks like a very good team.
Yeah.
But I'd say the Red Sox still look to me like a pretty decent team.
the Red Sox have won 4 World Series in the last 15 years.
Not
The
a bad
years they
run.
don't win the World Series, they're in the toilet.
You're not telling me they're going to be in the tournament.
I think they're going to be 80-win team.
This is my thought.
I mean, is that you're kidding? I assume.
I'm throwing out a little crap.
This is what I've got. Is I agree with our caller. I think they are kind of a luxury lap around the field. Kind of goes off of what I said. These young guys have won a World Series.
Yeah.
They're going to become money hungry. But I do know it seems like every year that the Yankees are a favorite, the Red Sox end up on top.
Yeah.
When the Yankees aren't the favorite, it's the other way. That's just what it seems like to me. But
Interesting.
Yeah. Alex Cora's the best manager in baseball. That's it.
I love it.
He's
Looks like a pretty good
Aaron
manager.
Boone's still a bum.
Yeah, he's one of the boys, and he's one of the boys. You know, they all buy into it.
No, Cora's good. Whoops.
Hey, thanks, caller. Hey, call again. Good to hear from you. I guess the Red Boy is interesting. The Red Sox, they got the White House visit. Is that
They put it on delay,
during the
didn't
regular
they?
season when they're in Baltimore? But boy, it's looks like it's breaking down, as you might guess, totally on a black-white thing. Most of the white players say they're going to go. Virtually all the black players saying not going there. Anyway, and I guess Cora is still undecided. Wasn't real happy with the president's efforts in the wake of Puerto Rico getting, understandably. I mean, president didn't seem like he went out of his way to help the good folks in Puerto Rico too much. But anyway, sounds like a bit of an issue down the road. What about anybody I'm going to say waste your time. Maybe it's not that. The NBA All-Star Game, I'm really sorry that I didn't even cross my mind.
I never.
You did catch the score of the game.
No.
I watched the Young
Ready for the
Stars
score?
game.
I'm within a few points either way. Something like 174 to 168.
A lot of
Just like the
defense.
National Hockey League
Yeah.
All-Star Game.
Well, the Young Stars, I think, was like 140 to 130, which
That
was
was
like
that was another.
that was
another
like
game.
it's like the rookies and sophomores.
No, really.
But so
Well,
I
the baseball All-Star Game I'll usually pay some attention to. That's the only one that I even.
well,
look
that gets Game 7. Correct?
at. And
Not anymore. They got rid of that.
Oh, they got rid of that.
Right, it used to making it a meaningful
The
game.
baseball.
What do they do? What do they do now? It should be whatever team wins the most in
Yeah,
interleague play. That's
Yeah.
what it obviously should be.
I
Better
can
winning
remember
percentage.
though when the baseball All-Star Game was a real game.
Yeah.
I remember when Ray Fosse was catching and Pete
The
Rose.
when the
Pete Rose
collision-
slid into him and the guy ruined his shoulder forever.
Oh, is that
And it
right?
was a 2-1 game.
Wow.
The National League won. Remember, they won about 10 or 12 in a row.
Yeah, National League was dominant for a while.
And no, the All-Star Game used to be a real game.
yeah,
And baseball's the one sport where you could actually have a real game
yeah,
because there's really no contact.
yeah, yeah. Typically,
But because if you look at what's a worse
and the
All-Star
Pro,
game
but
than
the Pro Bowl. I can't believe
Pro Bowls, it's just awful.
I can't. I would no more watch the Pro Bowl. I mean, what a joke.
And the NBA and the hockey All-Star games
Again,
really
no
turned
hitting.
into
Obviously, no.
That's
zero
just a
hitting.
circus
Nobody.
act now.
Yeah, nobody hits or anything.
Of course, the hockey is all. We're a month away from real hockey
Yeah.
starting.
Hey, speaking of hockey, the lack of scoring was a real issue. Is that the issue it was a
Do
few
you
years
watch
ago?
any games, or is it
For NHL?
up a little bit? I think the scoring.
I haven't heard that. That was a real concern. I mean, a year or two ago, lack of scoring.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that issue talked about much. Is there more scoring?
Well, I know strictly with the overtimes, they tried to make it a little bit more exciting by reducing the number of players.
Right, three
there might have been something with the equipment, maybe making it smaller.
They
on
did
the
make the
goalers' end.
goalies a little bit.
Oh, is that right? A little
and,
smaller?
And then I think they gave more rights to offensive players as far as presence around the net goes.
Really? So they tried to tweak it a little bit anyway, huh?
You know, but at the same time, I mean, it seems like talent is up offensively. I just see more solid goaltending.
Yeah.
You know.
And of course, I mean, geez, looking at these big goaltenders, I mean, good luck
Right.
getting the puck past these guys.
And, you know, at the end of the day, and like Dave said, there is such a huge difference in postseason hockey to regular season.
I don't watch. I mean, I'll watch a period or two of the Bruins, but like I said, you won't even watch a second until you get to.
No.
Stanley Cup.
I'll stay up during the
you watch-
postseason
you
and
watch-
watch San Jose play at 11.
No, I agree. I love Stanley Cup's great.
Where I
Nothing
might not
better.
even watch my Canadians play against the Florida Panthers in regular season.
Boy, you're
They're having
Canadian.
a little skid lately.
Who's that?
No, the
Canadians.
Habs
We
have-
won last night.
did
Tatar
they
got-
win?
Yeah, Tatar got a goal with 6 minutes left.
Because
You
they've
gotta
been
be
on, they
happy.
lost like 3 in a row. haven't
Yeah,
they?
but I went up to that Winnipeg game, which in my
really?
opinion, Winnipeg's one of the deepest team in the West.
Good
We went
game?
up there, smoked them 5-2.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Or they came here, I should
What'd
say.
you tell me about buying that ticket? Did you get it way ahead of time, Kim, or did you? I mean, you can get tickets if you want. What'd you pay for that ticket? Can you tell us
We sat front row of the upper deck, but it was nice. We had the guardrail right there, and it's so steep that we were literally right there.
Yeah.
3 of us went up for a little under $300.
Is that right? About
It was a
$100
Thursday
a
night
ticket.
game, and my colleague's actually a huge Winnipeg Jets fan.
Oh, really?
He hadn't
No, that's
seen
cool.
his team play,
cool.
and then my other colleague's a Canadians fan, so we
How'd you get the tickets?
we just bought them online.
Is that right? Online.
Yep.
That's not.
And we bought them directly through the Canadians website as well.
Really?
So if we shopped around, I bet you we probably could have chomped that down a little bit.
But a good time at the Bell Center.
Great time. Great
Just
time. So
just
thankful.
got 2 games here. A long ago Canadians game and an old timers game I caught with Guy Lafleur and company.
Well, the
I have no history with
the
that.
last
not
2
that-
games I've been to were terrible.
Who's your? Are
lousy
you a
games,
Canadians
huh?
fan?
I'm an old Flyers
You're just
fan.
a hockey fan.
I
Right?
just like good hockey, but
But I agree.
I do root for the
Stanley
Canadians.
Cup hockey.
The
is
Flyers are
great.
playing up there tomorrow night.
But I don't even
right?
know who's on the Flyers.
No, I know.
Now, I will tell you one thing. We only have about a minute and a half. That I was telling the guys is that the skill level, like this All-Star game, if you look at the NBA players today,
Like an NBA. We're talking some pretty talented players.
they are physically gifted and they have incredible athleticism.
Yeah.
But these guys can't shoot
But
a
they
15-footer.
can't. Right.
And
in fact,
fundamentally-
15-footers are gone.
They're gone.
We're talking
It's either a three-pointer
three-pointers
or
or
a
dunk the
dunk.
ball.
And you look at baseball, baseball's lost a lot of their little skills. Half these guys can't bunt.
Bunting,
They can't.
painful. I know.
They
it's
can't hit the
unbelievable.
ball the opposite field.
How about
they,
hit behind the
shift,
runner?
all that crap.
Yeah.
Football, the same thing. Lack of skills.
Yeah.
I think we have better athletes, but the only sport that where the skill level is better, I think, is in hockey.
Yes, I totally
Yeah,
agree.
it's all right.
100%.
The skill level, these guys are really good. They are super skilled.
This may be a hot take, and I don't have the stat, but if you took the median age now as opposed to 10 years ago, I bet it's close to 3 to 4 years younger than what it was back
Really?
then.
Is that
Maybe
really?
15, 20.
Yeah,
but-
because the guys are all fast.
But
And
if-
we're talking big and typically
but we're
bigger.
talking the
obviously,
oldest
right?
players on a lot of teams
Yeah.
are like 30, 31,
Is that
32.
right? Really? Not too many Tom Brady's in the NHL?
I think Dustin Byfuglien is either the oldest or the second oldest on the Winnipeg Jets at like 31, 32.
Really? Wow.
They're all 19, 20.
Gotten younger. Interesting.
But
Interesting. Well, gentlemen, I think that's going to.
we got a
about
minute
do it.
left.
So you're going to join me watching until I fall asleep anyway? Will you watch the Duke Carolina
Is that
game
tonight?
At 9 o'clock.
Yeah, it'll
ESPN.
give me something.
I was a little worried because I thought it
fall
was.
asleep.
I thought this went a little bit later, and being the fact it's a 9 o'clock game.
No, you're good. We're good.
I will be
perfect
watching.
timing.
Yep.
Should be fun. Those
Yep.
games are those games are typically fun. Cam, great to have you back.
Thanks for having me,
I trust
guys.
We'll
As
see you
always,
well within another.
let me know
another year.
if you need the call again.
Don't worry,
so.
I'll.
Good
I got
job.
his
Good
number.
recruiting.
You got my
Speed dial.
number.
Mr. Dave Handy, always good
Well,
to
thank
see you.
you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Richard.
And I can tell our loyal viewers and watchers, the Nighthawk will be back next week. Thanks to my man Zach for doing all the hard work. But again,
Thanks, Zach.
thanks for watching us here on Northwest Access TV, the best damn sports show in Franklin County. And we'll catch you next week. And Blue Devils, I'd love to see you play a good game tonight and try to hit a few three-pointers. You may need to if you're going to beat those tough Tar Heels from down the road. Thanks for watching us here. So long.
Adios.